top stories. Fubara summons emergency EXCO meeting after 27 lawmakers' defection. Rivers Power tussle, new twist as SDP APC members join Fubara-led PDP. Wike Uzodimma Mba IPOB releases list of top politicians. Others allegedly working against the release of Nnamdi Kanu. Sowore hits Akeredolu for refusing to hand over after criticizing Yaradwa's family in 2010. Details now. The world news begins with Governor Siminalayi Fubara Rivers State today meeting with members of the State Executive Council. VOP News gathered that the emergency meeting was held at the Government House in Port Harcourt, the state capital, and presided over by Governor Fubara. The meeting is not unconnected with the political crisis in the state, in which the lawmakers made a failed attempt to impeach the governor a few weeks ago. Amid the planned impeachment, the assembly complex was eventually set ablaze by yet to be identified persons. The emergency meeting followed the defection of 27 members of the 32-member House of Assembly from the governing People's Democratic Party to the opposition All Progressives Congress. Their defection was a fresh twist to the lingering political impasse between the governor and his political godfather, Nyesom Wike, who is currently the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory. Meanwhile, the feud between former Rivers Governor Nyesom Wike and his successor Siminalayi Fubara has taken a new twist as members of the All Progressives Congress and Social Democratic Party have joined forces with Fubara as he continues efforts to resist plots by lawmakers loyal to Wike to impeach him. You would also recall that 27 lawmakers from the Rivers State House of Assembly under the leadership of Martin Amewule, alleged loyalists of FCT Minister Nyesom Wike, have officially switched their allegiance from the People's Democratic Party to the All Progressives Congress. The development had forced Governor Fubara to summon an emergency EXCO meeting. However, while declaring support for Governor Fubara, the deputy governorship candidate of the Social Democratic Party, Patricia Ogbonnaya, renowned APC chieftain Kadibo Wilson, also declared support for the embattled Rivers governor. Elsewhere, the indigenous people of Biafra has accused some top politicians, businessmen and traditional rulers from the south of working against the release of its embattled leader Nnamdi Kanu. The proscribed group claimed in a statement on Monday that the list was uncovered by its intelligence team. The IPOB spokesperson Emma Powerful, who released the list, said the identified persons should be held responsible if Kanu fails to regain his freedom after the anticipated December 15 ruling of the Supreme Court. VOP News gathered that those accused of working against the release of the IPOB leader include the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, billionaire businessman Sir Emeka Ofor from Anambra State, and Governors Francis Nwifuru, Peter Mba, Hope Uzodimma of Ebonyi, Hope Uzodimma of Imo, Enugu, and Imo States, respectively. Others listed are Governor of Imo State, former Governor of Imo State, Senator Richard Okorocha, oil magnate Arthur Eze, and the traditional ruler, His Royal Highness Cletus Inomwanya. Powerful further appealed to President Bola Tinubu and the Supreme Court not to accept the push by the identified persons to keep Nnamdi Kanu in prison. Meanwhile, the African Action Congress presidential candidate Omoyele Sowore has knocked Ondo State Governor Rotimi Akeredolu for refusing to relinquish power to his deputy Lucky Aiyedatiwa. Sowore, in a tweet via his official X handle, called out the governor for his role in ensuring that the family of late former Nigerian President Umaru Musa Yar'Adua handed power to his deputy Goodluck Jonathan. In the past few days, Sowore had continued to intensify calls for the Ondo State Governor to hand over power to his deputy over his ailing health. In his latest tweet, Sowore revealed that Akeredolu, while serving as a chairman of the Nigerian Bar Association, ensured that the family of late Yar'Adua handed over power to his then vice, Goodluck Jonathan. Meanwhile, leaders from the Ondo Elite Assembly in Ondo State have suggested the recent forgery allegations amidst Governor Rotimi Akeredolu's absence, which are part of an effort to compel him to hand over power to his deputy, Lucky Aiyedatiwa. The group, through their General Secretary Yemi Oladiran, however, said that what they were witnessing in Ondo State is a frustration resulting from defeated expectations. Akeredolu's scene is simply what they said that he refused to die. To discuss this and more on the world news at 6 right about now is actually via the telephone Barrister Fred Nzako, who is a legal practitioner, a social affairs and political affairs commentator, as well as an economic strategist. Barrister Fred Nzako, welcome to the world news at 6 right here on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. Barrister, kindly indicate if you can hear me, please.
I hope you can hear me as well.
All right, yes, I can hear you. Barrister Fred Nzako, they say that Wike is causing war within the People's Democratic Party. Apparently, it is not surprising that it's obvious that Wike is now an APC member officially, whether he has made a statement or not. We saw how, he created the factionalization within the PDP. We saw how, eventually he walked against his party, and then he has clinched this particular position, which is the FCT, being the FCT minister. We've also seen all the drama and theatrics that has unfolded ever since Ijeoma Wike showed that he was working on the mandate of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. As of today, 27 loyalists of Ijeoma Wike, Minister of the FCT, have defected to the All Progressives Congress. 27 out of 32 of them. And obviously, Governor Siminalayi Fubara River State had to organize an emergency meeting whereby he had to talk to those who remain within his party. Now, other critics believe that all the while they saw all of this tantrum being exhibited by Ijeoma Wike even before President Bola Ahmed Tinubu won the elections. Why did the PDP not do what needs to be done? Possibly give him punitive measures, expel him from the party? What bone or what authority, what spine did Ijeoma Wike have on the PDP that they were quiet all through the rebellious act he carried out within the party?
I think what has happened between Ijeoma Wike and PDP is a case of remembering the past to shape the present. It was very obvious that after 2019 election, Ijeoma Wike stood very strongly for PDP, working very strongly in favor of the party and keeping the party alive in all manners, ways and forms, even though with the intention to make political capital and political profit out of those efforts. But these efforts were obviously recognized as having kept the party alive. And then the party found it very difficult to sanction or act Wike when he started playing anti-party activities. And the party was waiting for an opportunity when Wike himself would have a change of heart and come back to his old party, and then for also an opportunity for him to possibly exit the party by himself, so that he will not become a political enemy of the PDP. But his actions during the 2023 elections, the build up to the election and during the election, showed that Wike's spirit left PDP the very day he lost the primaries to fly the presidential flag of the party. That particular day, his spirit and soul and mind left PDP. And he wanted to cut a pound of flesh from the party and ensure that the party paid very dearly for in his words and his mind for stabbing him at the back, especially with the political antics that went on between the former Sokoto governor and eventually the presidential flag bearer, Atiku Abubakar. I'm talking of the former Sokoto governor that was former Speaker of the House of Reps. Now Wike found an opportunity to cut a pound of flesh during the election of PDP, and he didn't miss that opportunity, and he dealt very bad blows to PDP, riding on the back of the former governors that the group that he called G5, which at the end of the day, it has become obvious that he was deceiving those former governors and then working underground for the APC while trying to pull PDP down. Now the whole thing has become history because Wike has been paid back for his actions with the ministerial slot, a very high-ranking ministerial slot for that matter, and he's being pampered well in the fold of APC. So one is not surprised if finally, and at the end of the day, Wike has decided to dump PDP officially. After all, he had already dumped PDP spiritually. Now he wants to dump PDP physically and to join APC. One expected touch, and I think it's all politics. Nobody knows tomorrow. It's only the future that will determine whether he has taken the right step or whether he has not.
Barrister Fred Nzako, but the question is, what was PDP's role in all of this quagmire? When we saw what transpired, when we saw how the elections took place, how we saw Wike ensure that he made Rivers State go in favor of the APC, and Wike came out at some point to boast that the PDP could do nothing to him. It was like he held some secrets against them, whereby he held them to ransom and they couldn't talk. Nobody could say anything that would be deviant of whatever his intention was. And what gave Wike the belief that he would be supported in whatever ambition, that he actually nursed within the People's Democratic Party? Any political party, that any member of a political party who does something wrong needs to be punished. None of that happened. Would you say the leadership or the National Working Committee members of the PDP allowed this? And what is the future for the PDP in upcoming 2027 elections? Will they be a strong contender against the All Progressives Congress?
Wike had a sense of entitlement when it comes to PDP affairs. Like I said, that after 2019 election, he put in a lot of efforts and a lot of energies in keeping PDP alive. Recall that he almost led a one-man riot squad to Edo State, where he ensured that Governor Obaseki got a second term. And then in many other states where there were off-cycle elections, Wike did put in a lot of efforts in favor of PDP. So, and even members of the National Working Committee, the current members, he had a lot of hands and influence in putting them in authority. So more or less, Wike cannot be described as a small fry. And you handle such a person with utmost carefulness. Wike is not the kind of a fellow that you just wake up and begin to punish, because his tentacles within the fold of PDP have been very deep-rooted. Recall that Wike has been in PDP since 1999, when he was even the local government chairman of Obiapo, up to the point when he served as chief of staff and as a governor for 2 terms, and then as a minister of state for education. All that while he has been in PDP. So his interest was deep-rooted in PDP. And such a person, you don't just yank him off very whimsically and without due caution. I think that was what has made PDP to continue to pamper Wike, do everything possible to make him change his mind or make him have a change of attitude towards the party. But Wike was very obstinate about his belief. He felt shortchanged so badly during the PDP presidential primaries. And since that day, he has sworn privately and publicly to deal with PDP. And of course, I want to say that he succeeded in dealing with PDP, because he made PDP to lose a lot of votes during the election, not just in Rivers State, but caused a lot of derailment for the party. With his insistence that the then chairman must resign. At the end of the day, like I said, the rest is history. But what is important now is that PDP should begin to rebuild itself as an opposition party, because the responsibility of a virile and credible opposition lies squarely on the PDP in tandem with the Labour Party. We have always said that the opposition is as good as the ruling party, because the value of the opposition is to bring alternative views, alternative policies, and alternative ideas to any policy of government in power, and to checkmate the government in authority, so that they will always remember that government is all for the...
You have less than 1 minute for this call.
Okay.
Now going forward, PDP towards 2027, she would begin to put this house in order. Now that it is obvious that Ijeoma Egwuatu is no longer part of them.
Barrister Fred Nzako, I would like to call you back on my personal line because we seem to have exhausted our credit right on this particular studio line. So I'm going to call you back and I will employ you because we need to continue this conversation. The PDP itself has already made its thoughts or intention known all this while that they're against what do you call him, Ijeoma has been doing all this while. But they have been quiet as to what mechanism they would infuse in terms of disciplining him. And Nigerians have questioned that kind of leniency specifically towards Ijeoma Egwuatu. Now let's come on to Peter Obi, the presidential candidate of the Labour Party. He has warned President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on the rigorous, careless take when it comes to his attitude towards the people, the recklessness when it comes to the spending, and of course the corrupt focus of the judiciary, which seems to be untwisted towards a sense of a particular political party. On several occasions, Peter Obi has talked about how this administration has been running and going about its governance. He has also complained about how the ruling party is not taking cognizance of the people's, the people's pain and the economic fallacies that already are being experienced and the unprecedented events which can be curtailed. On several occasions, he has also mentioned persons in the polity who are not doing things the right way. His opposition, or rather his critics, believe that Peter Obi is acting sour. He is not happy that he lost and he did not package his case well at the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal. It's all about aggrandizement with with supposedly his supporters. But would you take from his perspective as to all his responses towards this administration, the policies, the economic downturn, and the decisions they've been making, possibly even what the president says and how the people feel towards the president?
Sorry, I didn't get most of your questions, but I guess it's hovered around the issues about Labour Party and opinion with respect to the current policies of government.
Yes.
Am I right?
Yes. Peter Obi specifically calling out the president and warning him specifically to be careful with how he takes or makes policies that are affecting the people. Also to be careful with his expenditures, careless expenditures, without paying recourse to the effect it would have on the people. And calling out the judiciary too.
Yes, Peter Obi in his element and always does not mince words about his ideas towards welfare of the people. He doesn't mince words about his idea towards frugal management of finances of government. As a matter of fact, he does not only speak it, he teaches it and he practices it. It's very obvious when he ran the affairs of Anambra State, as he is noted to be a prudent manager of resources. He noted to be a prudent utilizer of public funds. And he has carved that niche for himself, and he does not spare any thought, spare any words in encouraging anybody in authority to manage public funds in the most prudent manner. As a matter of fact, Peter Obi believes that public funds should be managed even better than the way private funds are managed. And if the private individuals can manage their own private and corporate resources with all measure of goodwill and prudence, that there's no reason why public funds should be managed rascally and prodigally. So he always asks the government in authority to manage public funds at local government, at state and the federal level with frugality, with prudence, and with due reference to the fact that the welfare of the people is the primary goal of government. And you cannot enhance the public welfare if you don't manage public funds prudently. So it doesn't come to anybody as a surprise, even to Aso Rock, because the Aso Rock occupants know the kind of person that Peter Obi is. Yes, everybody may not have the same line of thought, may not have the same idea about public funds and public management, but because Nigeria is a country that is classified as underdeveloped or less developed or developing, whichever terminology you want to use, Nigeria needs every resource, every fund that is available to make the country better. And any fund that is wasted cannot enhance such development of the country. So I personally, as an economist, agree with Mr. Tito's idea that resources must be managed prudently. And whether those resources are managed prudently or not is a matter that for another day.
Let's look at his reaction towards the courts, the appeal court, the Supreme Court, and their recent ruling so far. In the process of warning President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on his recent attitude and mannerism towards the people through his policies and behavior in terms of junketing from one country to the other and, spending public funds of taxpayers' money, he also talked about the judiciary themselves. He warned the judiciary, being one of the third strong elements, of our democracy, that it behoves of them to ensure that democracy is upheld and that they are not politicized. He also talked about the fact that they ought to be as transparent as possible in every possible way. Otherwise, they will be the ones to ruin our democracy. As of yesterday, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who is the chair of ECOWAS, made some very remarkable statements. His critics called those words flowery words when he said that the people should be given an opportunity to choose their leader, that is the only way democracy can stand and we can prevent coups from taking over some of these West African nations or Central African nations. But critics have complained that the president himself, did he allow people to choose their desired leader? There have been several reactions concerning that. But in terms of Peter Obi, would you say he is a sore loser on his reaction to several issues in national polity and his statements towards the judiciary?
Well, the theme of President Bola Tinubu's address to ECOWAS summit were of two folds. One, he encouraged all leaders in ECOWAS to ensure that they apply good governance, apply their hearts and their will towards good governance, because President Tinubu is of the opinion that good governance is the only panacea to coup d'etat and restlessness among the citizenry. And the second aspect of his address centered on prudent management of resources, because the whole of West Africa is classified as an underdeveloped sub-region, and every resource that is available in West Africa needs to be prudently managed for the interest of the region and for the benefit and welfare of the people. The third flank of his address was that there is need for regional and sub-regional integration that will ensure that there is unhindered trade, unhindered access to economic relationship, and unhindered interaction, business and economic interaction among the countries of West Africa. As a matter of fact, that was the basis of establishment of ECOWAS in 1975. Even though, as we can say, ECOWAS has not achieved most of the reasons for its establishment, especially in terms of liberalization of trade, free movement of persons and goods, and backward integration and interaction among the among the sub-region, among the nationals of the sub-region. Because even as of today, the issue of monetary policy of ECOWAS hasn't been adequately handled. We still have dual monetary policy, one on the side of the story after France in the CFA, and then the other one, all the various countries of the Anglophone countries of West Africa have their own different currencies. Now, every meeting that has been made, that have been held to have a unified monetary policy in ECOWAS had all failed. They have always been work in progress.
Yes.
And then President Tinubu is of the opinion that for ECOWAS to improve as a sub-region, there is need for increased interaction, there is need for increased fusion as a sub-regional authority that will be able to challenge and
we're
face
running out
the
of time.
Of modernity.
We're running out of time. We need to wrap up. I need you to just answer one question. According to Justice John Soho, he acknowledged that the public scrutiny of the judiciary particularly regarding the recent election-related ruling, has placed the judiciary on trial. In fact, he stated that it was important for the judiciary to look inwards and that it is important for them to uphold the independence and sacredness of the judiciary, which is a hallowed temple of justice. And he talked about the fact that so far, the judiciary may have actually gone backwards based on Nigerians' reactions to recent rulings. Please, in possibly 3 seconds, would you agree with Justice John Soho?
Sorry, I didn't get that question, Esther. Would I agree
Justice John Soho has acknowledged that the judiciary is on trial, and this statement was made during a special session marking the court's Jubilee anniversary and the start of the new legal year. And in the process, he's urging the judges to uphold the independence and sacredness of the judiciary, which he says is a hallowed temple of justice. And this statement is based on the recent scrutiny, public scrutiny of the judiciary. Would you agree with what he stated, that the judiciary is on trial?
Yes, Lord Denning of the Matter of Rose of England had long said that when the judge is on trial, when the judge is on the seat, it is the judge that is on trial. While the judge is trying his matter, he himself is being tried by the public. And that is why it is always very important for any judicial officer at the magistrate court, at the high court, and at the appellate courts to ensure that the very best interest of justice is fostered, because when the judge is trying a matter, the judge himself is on trial. And the issues about sanity and sanitization of the judiciary is one that reverberates around the world, because in most cases, human innuendos, human opinions tend to conflict with opinions of justice. Okay. And that is why it is always very important that a judge detaches himself from anything that has to do with personal interest and ensure that only the interest of justice is fostered. So it is easier said than done, but for anybody who tends to, as much as possible, try to be just and fair, will over time achieve justice.
All
but
right.
once anybody tries to undermine the interest of justice, especially when it comes to political issues, then the judge himself will obviously be on trial.
Thank you, Barrister Fred Nzako. I sincerely do appreciate your input and your analysis to the issues discussed right here on the World News at 6.
Many thanks.
Thank you. To wrap up, here again are the top stories. Fubara summons emergency EXCO meeting after 27 lawmakers' defection. Rivers power tussle, new twist as SDP, APC members join Fubara-led PDP. Wike Uzodimma Mba IPOB releases list of top politicians. Others allegedly working against the release of Nnamdi Kanu. And Shiwore hits Akeredolu for refusing to hand over after criticizing Yadodua's family in 2010. That's a wrap on the World News at 6 right here in Voice of the People, 90.3 FM. My name is Esther Wachikoju. Join us for the political spotlight at precisely 7 o'clock on at VOP TV Live. That is at Voice of the People TV. For more in-depth political analysis with seasoned guests who will give us details on the purview and several issues that will be discussed today on the political arena. And of course, up next you have the Evening Rush with Precious. Thank you for staying with us and good evening.